What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol PDD for Pinduoduo Inc. Of course, this is a Chinese company, and they've been under a lot of scrutiny recently, but having a major bounce back. So let's go ahead and discuss this action. Left-hand side is the daily time frame. Right-hand side is the 30-minute intraday time frame. Of course, we did get an earnings announcement before the bell on today's session, and that led to a pretty sizable gap up and go, right? This wasn't a gap and trap. It was a gap and go. So let's start off by just mapping out the gap underneath us, and then we'll focus more on other levels from a structural standpoint. So under today's low, 90.84 fills down towards 81.61. I'm not saying that is in play just yet, but do at least keep that on your radar. The other thing I would point out is that we had resistance here around 95.77, and we clearly closed up above that. Next, we have a double bottom and a gap overhead here. If we're being very technical, the gap is from about 149 cents all the way up to about 101.22. So it's a small gap. You don't really trade that for range, but that's basically going to act as a target. We also have the blue line here overhead, the 50 SMA, which is going to act as resistance. Coming up from the bottom that aggressively, I would kind of favor, starting to see a little bit of consolidation or maybe a slight rollover here. Also, given the nature of the most recent downtrend, it's not in the cards really for a massive continuation move, something all the way up until like 145. So if those are your hopes, probably, dial those back a little bit, get aligned with reality a little bit more. But there certainly could be a little bit more a continuation, maybe into about 106. I could see that being relevant, and maybe the last level I would really pay attention to would be here around 111.71. In terms of the 30-minute intraday time frame, did we get it right? Did we miss anything? What else is going on here? Well, certainly underneath us, this was a really strong area of resistance. You can see all of these touches here offered resistance here, kind of got some consolidation there, and it also offered a small pullback low on today's trading session. So not for nothing, that 92.50 should be on your charts if you do decide to trade this one going forward. What we always like to do when we get a large expansion of range is, of course, break out the Fibonacci's and see how strong the end of the day was. So going from the low of the day up to, first eyeballing this one. Obviously, we violated the 38.2 and the 50 as well as the 61.8, but we recaptured it within the next 30-minute candle, so that kind of negates that violation at first. Next one way up here, you can clearly see we never got into the 38.2, so we'll finish it up here at the highs and actually leave it on the chart. Ideal consolidation for this one into the remainder of the week would be over 96.38, but I would argue from a structural perspective, as long as we hang out above 95.77, you can remain bullish here on PDD. In terms of what that might look like, right, if we just check out the daily chart now, you might start to see an indecision doji, a hammer candle, basically anything that respects this level here, 95.77. You're looking for the breakout up and over the highs into our next major daily resistances, as discussed, 106 and then that 111.71. Those would be what I would be looking out for the ideal scenario here to go long and look for the breakout in PDD. If we start trading underneath 95.77, you have those targets mapped out underneath. Of course, 92.50 is a no joke level. It did act as a very nuanced point from today, right? Remembering where that came from. Obviously, those highs acted as a low on an intraday perspective, right? And then underneath the low of the day, 90.84 opens the door for the massive gap fill underneath. There might be a bump in the road sort of around here, 86.77, simply because we had a shelf of prior support, should also offer support when retesting it from the top side before the gap fills at 81.61. So for now, do remain and keep a bullish outlook on PDD. The gap and go was a bullish activity. The close was strong. We're looking for either continuation immediately and or healthy consolidation above 95.77 and then the breakout over the highs. That's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.